everyone, welcome to the video series of ethical hacking from FireShark Technologies. I'm Diksha Mishra and I will be giving you the demonstration of fundamentals of cybersecurity and ethical hacking in this video. So let's just get started with this video. So for a hacker, it is a golden age. Like we are using so many access points. When I say the access points, it means mobile phones, laptops, tablets, and your PC. Even if we are searching something on the Google or maybe surfing through our social media or maybe performing some of the booking like cab or airplanes or hotel tickets on the applications, we are generating loads of data. And that data can be very critical for us and can be very useful for a malicious intent of hacker. Hackers can always find a way to use your data like credit card details, social media credentials, and debit card details for their own use. So, in order to prevent ourselves from these type of cyber attacks, we have a mechanism called cybersecurity. But moving on, we have to first know that what are the cyber attacks. Computer networks and mobile devices to just steal, break, or damage, or just simply alter the crucial data and information. The cyber attacks usually happen when any malicious hacker gain the access of the system by breaking the passwords or stealing the credentials and access the data of or which can be confidential or private and then use it for their own purposes. In order to prevent ourselves from the cyber attack, we have a mechanism called cybersecurity, as I said previous. Cybersecurity is a protection of internet connected systems, including hardware, software, data from cyber attacks. So, as the technology getting smarter day by day, we have to move with the technology trends. Cybersecurity is always evolving field in the computer technology. We use certain mechanisms like implementing firewalls or deploying the ID system or the honeypots into our networks, or maybe performing the network scanning, pen testing, VAPT to scan the loopholes or you can say the weak points into our network so that we can patch it up earlier before any hacker could use it. So first of all, you can say the weak points into our network so that we can patch it up earlier before any hacker could use it. So first of all, we need to understand that how the organizations protect themselves. In order to organizations protect their networks and their data, they follow these three pillars of policies. The CIA tried, that is confidentiality, availability, and integrity. So let's just see those one by one. Confidentiality refers to like prevention of any access of data from any unauthorized individual. Only those persons can access the particular data who are authorized for it. You can say you are using your Facebook credentials to authorize your Facebook data because you have the authorization by using the passwords and the email account. Facebook has authorized you to access those data. No one else can access those data in by impersonating yourself. So it makes sure of the identity of authorized personnel involved in sharing, holding of data to be secure and private and anonymous. It can be get compromised if a hacker who crack poorly encrypted data, incorporate various type of cyber attacks and disclose the sensitive data or maybe breach the whole data of a company. Second, we have the integrity. Integrity is usually protecting the information from being altered by unauthorized individuals. It means any data can be only changed by a authorized person. For example, if an employee wants to change his bank details, he can put his request to the HR department and HR department will verify it, and after that HR department's head will give the permission to change that data. So here the HR department's head is the authorized person who has the integrity power to change the data. Integrity can be compromised when a malware is embedded into web pages or a web machine and turn that computer into a zombie computer. It means Sometimes a phishing attack can lead you to download any attachment which contains some sort of a malware. When the malware get executed into your system, it will temper your data and your machine will behave as the attacker will uh, remote control um, remote control be control your system. Then we have availability. So availability is ensuring that authorized person has access to the data or information whenever they need it. Suppose like when your client needs to access your web application, or maybe your employee wants to access your company's portal. Because any data is high value if the concerned individual have access to it at the required time. So unavailability of data, or we can say the starvation of request, can be caused by the DDoS attack and or maybe the hardware failures. And those hardware failures and DDoS attacks can be performed by the cyber criminals in order to rupture the reputation of your organizations. Moving on, we have to know that what are the type of hackers. So majorly these are the categories in which we divide the hackers. First of all, we have the white hat hackers, or we can say the authorized hackers. White hat hackers are cybersecurity experts who use their skills to find vulnerabilities in organizational networks and computer systems. Now, the key difference between a black hat hacker and a white hat hacker is that white hat hacker are authorized to hack the system for the purpose of spotting security vulnerability before a criminal hacker can. Now, typically, they are hired by governments or large businesses. White hat hackers identify and fix loopholes or weaknesses found in any security systems to help and prevent an external attack or data breach. Then we have the black hat hackers, or we can say the criminal hackers. A black hat hacker is a cyber criminal who breaks into computer system with malicious or criminal intent. Black hat hackers are probably what you think when you picture a typical hacker or a cyber criminal. Their advanced technical knowledge and ability to navigate the cybersecurity landscape is what makes them so skilled in carrying out their attacks. They go out of their way to find vulnerabilities in computer systems and software which they exploit for financial gain or other malicious purposes. Now, these individuals can do serious harm to individual or any company, like stealing the data or compromising the personal information or data, or maybe compromising the whole computer system or altering the critical network. Then we have the gray hat hackers. So, a grey hat hacker is a cybersecurity expert who finds a way to hack into computer networks and systems, but without the malicious intent of a black hat hacker. Typically, they engage in hacking activities for the pure enjoyment of finding gaps in computer systems, and they might even let the owner know if the weak points are found. We can say it's like a bug hunting program wherein black gray hat hacker find the loophole, then informs the owner that you have these loopholes and you can patch it up. Now, their main motive is just to find the weaknesses and vulnerabilities into different networks. Then we have the blue hat hackers. Blue hat hackers are hired by organizations to do a bug testing of a new software or a system network before its release. Now, their role is to find loopholes or security vulnerabilities in the new software and remedy before them it launches. Then we have the green hat hackers. A green hat hacker is someone who is new to the hacking, but it intensely focus on increasing their cyber attack skills. They primarily focus on gaining knowledge on how to perform cyber attacks on the same level as their black hat counterparts. Their main intent is to eventually evolve into a full fledged hacker so that they can spend their time looking for learning new opportunities for more experienced hackers. Then we have red hat hackers. Red hat hackers are hired by government agencies to spot vulnerabilities in security systems with a specific focus on finding and disarming black hat hackers. They are known to be particularly ruthless in their hunt for black hat criminals and typically use any means possible to take them down. This often looks like using the same tactics as black hat hackers and using against them. So they use the same techniques like malwares, viruses, and other strategies to compromise their machines from the inside and out. Now, as we have seen all the categories of hacking, now we have to understand that what is pen tester, and who is an ethical hacker. So we can say that overall, a ethical hacker or a pen tester is the same profession. But usually, a pen tester is someone who identify the risk. Now, an ethical hacking is just mainly focus on identifying risk, but to show and demonstrate the exploitation also. You can say pen tester only scans the network or scan your system to just find out the weak points. You can also specify the area that you want only to scan this particular system or only to scan this area of the network. But a white hat hacker is someone who scans the whole system, whole network area, find the vulnerabilities and further exploit it also, so that he can give you the idea that how can be a big impact on your company if we any hacker will exploit that particular loophole. Now we have then different types of pen testing. The first one is network pen testing. After the penetration tester performs intelligence gathering and threat modeling, the tester completes a series of tests. Network testing is usually the most common method of penetration testing. Once a hacker obtains access to a network, now a pen tester can conduct an internal and external network exploitation. This allows them to emulate a successful hacker that's been able to penetrate into the external network defenses. This gives an opportunity to explore many facts of the security posture of any organization. Now, pen testing involves some of the actions like bypassing the firewalls, router testing, IP IDS evasion, DNS footprinting, open port scanning or testing, proxy servers, network vulnerabilities, or application penetration testing. Then we have the website or wireless pen testing. Now, through this penetration test type, the devices and the system within the wireless network are tested for vulnerabilities. The pen tester will commonly exploit the areas during a wireless network penetration test, like encryption protocols, testing the network traffic, testing unauthorized access points or hotspots, MAC address spoofing, poorly used or default passwords, discover the cross-site scripting, SQL injection, loopholes, denial of the service attacks possibilities, web server misconfiguration, and the website or the web server of the sensitive customer data. Then we have the physical penetration testing. So you might not think of this as a vulnerability, but your physical security also controls can be an open door for a cyber criminal. During this physical penetration test, the pen tester will attempt to gain access to the facility through like the smart doors which open itself by scanning any ID or maybe biometric. So we refer them to as a RFID and door entry systems. Then we have the lock picking or some vendor impersonations or monitor sensors. Often physical penetration test is performed with some form of social engineering. A pen tester may need not to receive or manipulate your employees to obtain physical access to the facility. This leads us to our next type of penetration test, that is the social engineering test. Now, the social engineering test is the weakest link of your security system. The people make mistakes and can be easily manipulated. But the weakest link is often your employees or maybe your internet users. Social engineering is one of the most prevalent ways in which threat actors can infiltrate your environment. Now, the most common type of social engineering tactics used by the hackers are like phishing attacks, imposters, or name dropping, pretexting, gift, dumpster diving, or eavesdropping. A social engineering test is helpful for telling you about vulnerabilities in your human capital. Not only that, but social engineering is one of the most vital skills used by the cyber criminals. Then we have the last is known as the cloud pen testing. So if your organization wants to perform a cloud pen testing, you may need to notify the cloud provider that you are going to test your cloud network. Be sure to ask the cloud provider about what areas are off limits. For instance, AWS only permits testing on EC2, RDS, Aurora, CloudFront API Gateway, Lambda, Lightsail, and DNS zone walking. Other areas are just restricted for your pen testing. Now, some of the common testing areas for cloud services include compute security, applications and API access, database and storage access, encryption testing, VMs and unpatched operating system testing, SSH and RDP remote administration, poorly used firewalls, or poorly used passwords. Now, public cloud penetration testing can be a bit difficult. In this situation, you will likely want to employ the box testing, having more knowledge about the environment before testing. Public cloud services providers often restrict or limit a customer's ability to perform the penetration testing because of a multi-tenant or shared nature of infrastructure as a service, that is IaaS, in the cloud computing area. Now, moving on, we need to understand that what is VAPT. So VAPT stands for Vulnerability Assessment and Penetration Testing. Now, vulnerabilities exist in all levels of computing system, on premise or you can say on the cloud premises also, regardless of the organization size. Whether you are a small organization or a big small organization or a medium sized organization, you can't be spared by any type of cyber attackers. This is far from the reality. You can say that if you are a small organization, you will be not on the target of the cybersecurity criminals. As the security of a small businesses is usually relaxed, attackers incline more towards them. Many times organizations say they don't require the vulnerability risk assessments because they are such a small organization, but this could be lead to a major blunder. Now, vulnerability assessment scans the digital assets and notify the organization about pre-existing flaws, or you can say the pre-existing loopholes or the weakest points. Penetration test exploits the vulnerabilities in the system and determines the security gap. So, how the VAPT works? So, the first thing is that we need to gather the information about that particular organization. What type of networks they are using, how many systems are there, what are their IP addresses, what are their MAC addresses. Okay. Also, the non-technical information like how many employees are there, what are the departments are running on, how much the skills about the cybersecurity and IT systems they have. Moving on, after gathering all the information, they're trying to find the vulnerability. Now, vulnerability detection is something like when they scan the whole network and if they find any weakest link or loophole, they try to research on that particular loophole or maybe what of the services are running and with their versions, what are the possible exploits out there. They once when define the vulnerability and discover the vulnerabilities and detect the vulnerabilities. After that, they analyzes and planning their attack. Now, on the basis of gathered information and vulnerability detection, they plan their whole attack. Now, the penetration testing will start. In the penetration testing, by following the whole plan, we access the system, and then after we find and exploit all the loopholes, and after exploiting the system we see the results and make the result analysis that how is the impact, how deep we have access into the system, what areas could be accessed by that type of vulnerability. After that we make a report on that issue or maybe on that exploitation, the whole VAPT testing, that these networks we have scanned this area and these are the vulnerabilities and these are the loopholes, how we exploited them, what could be the impact of the attack. These points are all mentioned into a particular report. And then the cleanup, we also patch those vulnerabilities and loopholes, and that is what the VAPT works. Now we need to understand the cyber attack life cycle. So, cyber attack life cycle is similar to a VAPT, but it is usually followed by the hackers. Is something like that. We need to first gather the intelligence, like planning the attack. Once you have identified your network, you need to find that what type of vulnerabilities or what type of loopholes are present in the system by scanning their network or maybe scanning their employees. After that, we try to inject a malware or our viruses script into the particular system by using that vulnerability. Now, by exploiting the vulnerability, we deliver our malware, and then we give the command and control to the malware at the specific time to control the whole system and make the system as a zombie system. Now, after that, we steal all the credentials and data theft and sabotage or destruction. So, like when our goal get completed, like what type of data tampering we need, or maybe what type of data we want to access, when the attacker's goal get completed, they just usually leave the system and clear all their tracks so that they don't get discovered by any in the reports, or any in the logs of a cyber forensic. Now, what are the best practices to you can follow to avoid the cyber attacks? Is something: always use a strong password, use a strong password manager also, scan your emails before opening and scan the attachments also. Check the website URLs, is there HTTP or HTTPS is deployed on the URL or not. Log out or log off your system whenever don't use the system. Update your antivirus, update your operating systems time to time, and keep your user data private. So that's all for this video. We will see you in the next time.